Oh, hello, Allison.
Hello, this is a first for me. And all I'm envisioning is my almost 8-year-old going, oh no, seeing me attempt to dance. Also, you froze a little bit. And so I was trying to use you for inspiration that I didn't see anything. So I'm just justifying my lack of dancing right now.
It wasn't a lack of dancing. It's all being uploaded into the cloud in real time. So if I did freeze, then I looked like,
yeah.
But if I didn't freeze, then you still danced fantastically well. I guarantee it. So Allison Whalen, it is so good to see you. We've got a new budding friendship. We had a wonderful coffee meeting right before this. Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself outside of being the founder and CEO of Parenthood? Would love to have you share a little bit more about what you've been building and why you've been building it. I'm fascinated with this company and I think it's awesome.
Yeah. I mean, I feel like my life revolves around parental leave now, and has been for the past 5 years. I had my first child in 2017, was horrified at that experience. It was so hard to return to work for a lot of reasons, but especially from the sort of career disruption piece. And I looked around, there wasn't anyone who was focused on that. And I thought, okay, I came from a sales role where I look for problems and think, can I sell a solution? And I saw this and I thought, this is a big problem that has dollars and cents impact if we're encouraging people to take time away to expand their families. And if that is making them want to quit and go to another company, that is a problem. I saw a lot of ways to fix that. And so I launched it in 2019, went on to a month after I launched Parentally, I found out I was pregnant with my second child. So I have a whole, drama in the earliest days, which I'm sure you can appreciate now that you're in early stages.
That's our second pod. When you come on again, you're going to tell us about that.
Yeah. So I got pregnant. COVID hit while I was 5 months pregnant. I got COVID while pregnant. I mean, It was just like all of the fast forward to today, we have successfully launched and scaled the business, providing career coaching, manager training for parental leave. I now have 3 kids, so I'm very busy at home. No more parental leaves for me personally in sight. We are done. And now I just get to help others instead of going through it and building at the same time.
It's amazing. Amazing. Well, you're crushing it by helping others. Big thanks to our mutual friend, Jonathan Krieger, who put us in touch. Who are particular mentors that have propelled your success, that have made you the executive, the leader, the founder that you are today?
I've had a lot of mentors over the years, but I would say one of the most interesting and maybe not intuitive folks, when I think about who has been most influential in this business in the earliest days where it can go forward or crash and burn, was one of my mother's best friends, who I've known my entire life. I couldn't even tell you what she did. I mean, when you're a child, you don't know what your friends' parents do. And then when I was starting this business, I realized, oh my gosh, my mom's good friend, Deb, she's an executive coach and has been for decades, right? And the reason I bring this up is what was so interesting with her, I reached out to her, I shared her my idea, and she proactively would check up on me every few months, bring me out to lunch, ask me a bunch of questions, give me a lot of advice about what she has seen in this space. And I just think there's something so cool about that for like an entire generation ahead of me, that she took so much interest in what I was doing. And there was one moment, it was our first Fortune 500 client where I said, can I send you this deck? I just need like explicit feedback. Right. And she told me to double the price. And I think back on that moment, and it sounds minor, but I was totally undervaluing my work and I didn't know it. And I don't know where you get that support other than from a mentor who has seen it, been there, done that, and is able to pay it forward, And so I think back on that moment a lot.
I absolutely love that. That kind of feedback is so important for startup founders. It's important when you're early in your career. It's important at any stage, because the value that we put on our own intrinsic capabilities, and then how we can, we don't necessarily perceive our own value the same way externally that we present ourselves.
Right.
And so it could be at the time, perhaps you come across as an extremely confident and secure person. So I just want to hat tip to you. But at the time, it could have just been because you were building and you just didn't know the right amount to charge for an amazing service to be able to be there and to help parents go and come back from parental leave. So kudos to Deb.
She was also calling out a lot of things peeking around corners. Like, you don't know these extra costs that you are going to find as you continue to grow this business. And so I just think having access to people who are both able to give advice, but also understand that what you're doing is different. Like, she wasn't telling me to do what she did, but
Totally.
She was able to really like support different areas in a really interesting way.
What was the biggest leap that you took during all of this to create your business, to be a founder, to create a platform and a service that is helping parents, that is helping businesses provide a service that when it is so essentially necessary emotionally, mentally, physically for individuals, for families, for teams, for businesses, when a parent is going to be going out on leave and teams are going like, oh shit, what do we do now?
Yeah.
Like, help us understand just a bit more about like, what was that leap of faith? What did it take?
I don't know that I took one leap of faith. I think I took a lot of little hops. And I think that was one of the smartest things that I have ever done is, in some ways, I think I'm very risk loving and also risk averse, like at the exact same time.
You're bipolar.
Yeah. I'm like the type of person that's like, okay, how could this go wrong? And how do I don't know. I like taking risks, but I also like avoiding them. And so the leaps were very much like, I have a co-founder. She and I started working on this business back when we were working full time for our companies. And so we worked for almost an entire year on this business off the side of our desk, taking little hops, right? And so like, I think that was so smart. And we invested our own money in these tests because we made a lot of money at our jobs. It was much cheaper to pay to run these tests than to quit, throw it all up in the air and go all in on something that takes a lot of time and you need to build conviction around. And so we piloted the business while we were still working full time at our jobs. We even had some sales conversations before it even really existed, just to see if there was interest in buying, because we can create the best solution in the world, but if no one will pay for it, who cares? So I guess, of course, the biggest leap of faith was when I decided to go all in. But at that stage, we had de-risked a lot about the business. So that was a big leap. And then I think like there were moments where I had to decide not to quit that almost felt like a bigger leap than like the original decision. Because I think in the original stage, you're like very excited and you're very optimistic. Absolutely. I think like 6 months in, 9 months in, where you always feel like you're on the verge of something big, but there's a little bit of like panic as you watch your cash in the bank personally go down. You know? And so in some ways, I think like the biggest leaps are just not quitting.
What about don't quit? Just don't quit. I'm with you. I'm with you from having a couple different startups right now. And what you just said rings true, but this is about you. Help us understand a little bit more about just as Parentaly has grown, just how have you adapted to your own leadership style and building teams and being a mentor both to your team internally, to your clients and partners externally, to your investors, to help us understand just what that is like from being previously a top enterprise sales lead to just going for it and then having to wear a bunch of multiple hats and being a mom of 3 kids, little kids.
Yeah, I thought I was just a fabulous manager until I started my own business. And then I got a dose of reality around how difficult it is when it is so personal and feels like the weight is entirely on your shoulders. It introduced a level of, I don't know, reflection for me of like, yeah, I'm a great manager in like a very specific environment. And I've had to learn how to be better in this different world where it's just a totally different animal. I think like one of the things that I've actually worked really hard on is almost compartmentalizing that personal and emotional side of the business, because I think that can, it sort of puts you in this position to maybe act not in the best way. Like if it feels so emotional, it feels so personal, then you're not going to be the best and strongest leader and make the right business decisions. And then I would even say like that compartmentalization and boundaries. I'm personally such a big fan of boundaries, and I mean, compartmentalizing, maybe that's the wrong word. That has sometimes a negative connotation, but I really believe in boundaries. And so like, how do you make your time available for others? Like I was telling you before in our coffee chat, like I've opened up my Calendly to meet with people who want to meet with me. Well, a lot of people reach out to me because of what we do. There are a lot of people who are struggling with navigating their career while pregnant. And I've struggled with like, I can't meet with everyone. And so how do I do that in a way that creates space to give to them? And then how do I write a blog post and just send that blog post out to 20 people instead of meeting with 20 people, right? And so I think like trying to figure out where do I channel this emotion and passion in a way that is effective for the business and not allow it to take over everything has been really helpful.
That was insightful. Compartmentalizing is not necessarily a bad term. It's just reality. It really is.
Yeah.
Understanding the subjectivity that you put into your emotion when you're dealing with different business matters in real time versus saying, okay, I'm just going to put my email, my phone, my Slack away for a couple hours, either go for a run, hang out with my kids, go to sleep, wake up the next morning. That changes the way you think. Taking a few deep breaths, something that's very helpful, founder to founder, and I'm sure you know this, is also just going and standing up, changing positions.
Right.
Doing the small things, stretching. It just, because when you're hunched over and you're just thinking through, like, we're all in our own heads. That is super relevant. And I loved how you had mentioned earlier about how you used to put yourself out there and throw out your Calendly, but people take advantage of that. And that's obviously why one of the many reasons why we've created OhHello.ai is to be able to let mentors, let execs, let empathetic professionals find a platform where they can be on a platform, donate a component of their time, some of their time, some of their calendar, and then be able to help one another. So how do you prepare for change? When you're dealing with all of these different stressors, how do you prepare for change?
I'm a worst case scenario type of a person. Every time we have change coming up, I think, what is the worst case scenario? And almost always it's not that bad.
I love that.
I get a lot of comfort from that.
I really appreciate that. I sometimes think in a different kind of platitude. So when I speak with other friends and colleagues, it's really insightful. So
I get very excited about change, which I think is what you're saying. Like you can be very overly optimistic, and then that excitement turns into a little bit of fear. And I think it's healthy fear that's very motivating. And I think oftentimes brings to light, like, what are the things that you can do to avoid that worst case scenario? Now, I've been given the advice from another founder, your worst case scenario is never actually the worst case scenario, which that in and of itself is scary. And then he shared a very scary story with me. But I still think that it's actually quite motivating and helpful to think, worst case, we lose out on $1,000 and who cares?
Right.
Like, let's go for it and let's reevaluate and move forward.
Let's move forward. Allison, this has been a fantastic conversation. I appreciate you. I appreciate the OhHello audience. Thank you for being a guest. Thank you, everybody. Allison Whalen of Parenthood. Thanks, everybody. Until the next one. Thanks, Allison.
Thanks.
Bye.
Bye.